20 minutes, 10 dying Rangers, one underestimated medic. Maria Santos was about to deliver a performance that would change military medical history forever. Welcome to Hidden Story, where we uncover the extraordinary lives hiding in plain sight. Before we dive into this incredible story of medical heroism and battlefield courage, tell us in the comments, have you ever been underestimated until you proved everyone wrong? And if you believe stories like these deserve to be remembered, hit that subscribe button and help us ensure they're never forgotten. Forward Operating Base Blackhawk sat like a concrete fortress in the unforgiving landscape of eastern Afghanistan, its reinforced perimeter walls rising from rocky terrain like a testament to American military presence in a region that had witnessed decades of conflict. The base housed 400 personnel, but its most valuable asset was Alpha Company, 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, 10 of the most elite light infantry soldiers in the United States Army, warriors who specialized in direct action missions behind enemy lines. The medical facility operated with military precision, providing comprehensive health care to personnel who depended on peak physical condition to survive in hostile environments. At the center of this operation was Staff Sergeant Maria Santos, though none of the Rangers she treated understood the depth of her medical training or the reason she'd requested assignment to Forward Medical Operations after completing advanced combat medical specialist courses. Maria had earned her nickname during her training at the Special Operations Medical Training Center, where her ability to detect and treat life-threatening conditions under extreme stress had impressed even veteran combat medics. She'd completed not just standard military medical training, but advanced trauma surgery courses typically reserved for military doctors, earned certifications in battlefield anesthesia, and specialized in combat casualty care in austere environments. The assignment to FA Blackhawk had seemed perfect for someone seeking to serve elite warriors while avoiding the psychological stress of direct combat operations. Maria had served 2 previous deployments as a line medic with regular infantry units, experiences that had taught her the emotional toll of treating combat injuries under fire. The transfer to a more stable forward operating base would allow her to use her medical expertise in a controlled environment. For 3 weeks, Captain Jake Steele Mitchell had made his position on medical personnel crystal clear to anyone within hearing distance. "She's just a medic, not combat personnel," he told his Rangers during Maria's first briefing. "Medical staff handle routine issues and stay out of operational areas. Let the real warriors handle the fighting." Maria had listened from her position near the medical supplies, maintaining professional composure while internally noting the captain's attitude. For 3 weeks, she'd heard the same message. Treat minor ailments, avoid combat zones, let Rangers handle dangerous situations. The arrangement had allowed her to provide quality medical care without the stress of battlefield decision-making. The patrol that morning was designated as Standard Area Reconnaissance. Alpha Company would move through the mountainous terrain surrounding the base, gather intelligence on enemy activity patterns, and establish observation posts before returning by nightfall. Medical support would establish an aid station at predetermined coordinates and provide casualty treatment if necessary. Maria conducted her pre-mission medical inventory with practiced efficiency. 3 weeks of treating dehydration, minor injuries, and routine ailments hadn't required the advanced trauma skills she'd trained for, but her medical kit contained everything necessary for battlefield surgery if circumstances demanded it. The convoy consisted of 4 up-armored vehicles moving through a narrow valley that intelligence had classified as relatively secure. Maria rode in the trail vehicle with communications equipment and advanced medical supplies, monitoring radio traffic while scanning the deceptively calm landscape through reinforced windows. The mortar attack had been precisely planned by experienced enemy fighters who understood American patrol patterns and had positioned indirect fire weapons to create maximum casualties in the confined valley terrain. The first 82mm mortar round impacted directly between the lead and second vehicles at 0923 hours, creating a blast pattern that disabled both vehicles and scattered personnel across the rocky terrain. The second round targeted the communication vehicle, destroying their ability to coordinate with base support and request immediate medical evacuation. The third round was airburst, designed to maximize casualties among personnel seeking cover after the initial explosions. Maria's vehicle was far enough back to avoid direct impact, but the concussive effects threw her against the vehicle's interior and left her disoriented for several seconds. When she regained full awareness, her first instinct wasn't to assess her own injuries, but to evaluate the medical crisis developing in front of her. Through the smoke and debris, she could see the devastating results of the coordinated attack. The lead vehicle had taken a direct hit, leaving its occupants with severe blast injuries. The second vehicle had rolled down an embankment, trapping passengers with traumatic injuries. Personnel from both vehicles were scattered across the terrain, many motionless, others moving weakly. "Medical emergency!" Specialist Thompson's voice crackled through the damaged radio system. "Multiple urgent casualties requiring immediate intervention." Maria grabbed her comprehensive medical kit and moved toward the casualties without hesitation. This was the moment when 18 months of advanced combat medical training would be tested under the most demanding conditions imaginable. The first casualty was Sergeant Rodriguez, who had been thrown 15 meters from the lead vehicle by the initial blast. His right leg showed obvious compound fractures with severe arterial bleeding, and he was rapidly developing hemorrhagic shock from blood loss. Maria immediately began her trauma assessment protocol. "Rodriguez, I need you to stay conscious and focused on my voice," she said calmly, while applying direct pressure to the damaged artery. "You're going to be fine, but I need your complete cooperation." Rodriguez's eyes were glazing with shock. "Doc, how bad is it? Tell me straight." "Bad enough that you're getting a medical evacuation to Germany," Maria replied while securing a combat application tourniquet with expert technique. "Good enough that you'll be back to full-duty status within 6 months." The tourniquet immediately controlled the arterial bleeding, but Rodriguez had already lost dangerous amounts of blood volume. Maria quickly established intravenous access and began aggressive fluid resuscitation while scanning for her next priority casualty. The second casualty was Private Chen, who had been driving the second vehicle when it rolled down the embankment. He was conscious but severely disoriented, showing classic signs of traumatic brain injury and possible internal bleeding from blunt force trauma. "Chen, I need you to remain completely still," Maria commanded while carefully immobilizing his cervical spine. "You've sustained a head injury, and any movement could cause additional damage." Chen tried to reach for his weapon. "Doc, we need to establish security. Enemy contact is probable." "I've got security covered," Maria replied while conducting a rapid neurological assessment. "Your mission right now is to stay still and let me keep you alive." She quickly established intravenous access and began monitoring Chen's vital signs. The head injury appeared manageable with proper medical intervention, but potential internal bleeding required surgical evaluation within hours to prevent fatal complications. The third casualty required Maria to cross 20 meters of exposed terrain, while enemy observers maintained overwatch from elevated positions. Private Williams had sustained massive chest trauma from mortar fragments and was in severe respiratory distress from what appeared to be tension pneumothorax. Maria executed a tactical movement across the rocky terrain, staying low while dragging her full medical kit. When she reached Williams, his condition made her internally calculate survival probabilities based on available treatment options. "Williams, I need you to focus on my voice," she said while rapidly preparing for emergency chest decompression. "Tell me about your family back home." Williams's breathing was rapid and shallow. "Got a wife and 2 kids, Doc. Kids are 5 and 7 inches. "What are their names?" Maria asked while performing the life-saving needle thoracostomy procedure. "Sarah and Michael. They think I'm invincible." "You are invincible to them, and you're going to stay that way for the next 50 years, Maria replied as the procedure immediately improved Williams's breathing. By this time, Captain Mitchell had managed to establish a basic security perimeter with the remaining able-bodied Rangers, but their tactical situation was rapidly deteriorating. They were in an exposed position with limited cover, had multiple critical casualties, and faced the possibility of follow-up attacks by enemy forces who knew their exact location. "Santos, medical assessment," Mitchell called out while scanning for threats. Maria quickly evaluated the 10 casualties requiring immediate intervention. In any conventional medical situation, at least 6 would need immediate helicopter evacuation to advanced surgical facilities to have realistic survival chances. "Captain, 10 casualties with varying trauma severity," she reported while applying hemostatic dressings to Williams's chest wounds. 4 urgent surgical, 4 priority, 2 delayed. I can stabilize all of them for evacuation if you give me adequate time. "How much time do you need?" Maria was already moving toward Sergeant Martinez, who had sustained severe burns when fuel from the damaged vehicles ignited. "Give me 20 minutes, she said. "I can buy us 20 minutes of survivability." What happened during those 20 minutes would be analyzed and discussed in military medical facilities and ranger training programs for years to come. Maria moved through the casualty collection point with methodical precision and tactical awareness. She would rapidly assess and treat one critical casualty, immediately move to the next patient requiring intervention, provide life-saving medical care, and repeat the process with mechanical efficiency that maximized survival chances for all 10 patients. Martinez's burns covered approximately 20% of his body surface area and required immediate fluid resuscitation to prevent shock. While establishing multiple IV lines and administering pain medication, Maria simultaneously coordinated with the security element about possible evacuation landing zones. "Martinez, the pain is going to improve significantly with the medication I'm giving you," she said calmly. "Burns like this heal completely with proper treatment." Martinez was barely conscious from pain and smoke inhalation. "Doc, it feels like I'm on fire." "The medication will control that pain within minutes. I've treated burns exactly like this before. Full recovery with appropriate care." The 5th casualty was Corporal Santos, whose left arm had been severely damaged by mortar fragments, requiring immediate surgery to save the limb. Santos was staring at his injury with the kind of shock that could rapidly develop into life-threatening psychological trauma. "Santos, look directly at me, not at your arm," Maria commanded while applying pressure dressings and immobilizing the limb. "Your arm is damaged but completely salvageable with surgical repair." "Doc, my arm is destroyed. How am I supposed to continue serving?" "Your arm is going to be repaired by surgeons who specialize in exactly this type of injury. You'll be back to full-duty status within a year." The remaining casualties required Maria to make rapid medical decisions that prioritized immediate survival over perfect treatment protocols. Every intervention had to be efficient, effective, and appropriate for the tactical situation. Corporal Lee had sustained significant spinal trauma and required complete immobilization, but he was currently in an exposed position where additional mortar rounds could easily reach him. Maria made the tactical decision to move him despite the medical risks. "Lee, I'm going to move you to better cover," she explained. "Don't try to help me." "Let me handle all movement." She carefully repositioned Lee while maintaining spinal alignment, a procedure requiring advanced medical knowledge and significant physical strength under stress. 20 minutes after the first mortar impact, Maria keyed her radio with steady hands. "Captain Mitchell, comprehensive medical assessment completed. All 10 casualties have been stabilized for evacuation. No KIA. All injuries are survivable with surgical intervention." Radio silence lasted for several seconds. "Santos, repeat that transmission. All 10 casualties are stable and ready for medical evacuation, sir. 0 fatalities." Mitchell looked around the casualty collection point that should have resulted in multiple fatalities, according to standard casualty estimates for mortar attacks. 10 Rangers who had been critically wounded 20 minutes earlier were now conscious, stable, and ready for helicopter evacuation. "Santos, how did you save 10 lives in 20 minutes under these conditions?" Maria checked her remaining medical supplies and mentally reviewed each patient's current status. "Sir, they required medical attention, and I provided it. That's what combat medics do in any operational environment. Medical evacuation helicopters arrived 30 minutes later with full surgical teams. All 10 casualties were successfully evacuated to forward surgical hospitals, where trauma surgeons continued the advanced care Maria had initiated under combat conditions. Every single ranger survived with complete recovery. The comprehensive after-action medical report became required study material at the Army Medical Department and Ranger training facilities. The tactical medical analysis was unprecedented. One Army medic had performed battlefield trauma care that saved 10 lives using techniques typically requiring fully equipped hospital facilities. 2 weeks later, Staff Sergeant Maria Santos was recovering from her own minor injuries, sustained during the engagement while officially preparing for reassignment to advanced training positions. "What you accomplished wasn't standard combat medical care," Captain Mitchell told her during their debrief. "That was battlefield trauma surgery performed under conditions that would challenge experienced surgeons with full medical teams." "Captain, those were my patients," Maria replied. "When patients require medical care, you provide it regardless of circumstances. The operational environment doesn't change that responsibility." 6 months later, Staff Sergeant Maria Santos was promoted to Sergeant First Class and assigned to establish the Army's Advanced Combat Medic Training Program. Her techniques became the foundation for modern battlefield medicine, and her integrated medical procedures were taught to special operations medics throughout all military branches. The techniques Maria developed during those 20 minutes became standard Ranger medical training protocols. Her approach to battlefield trauma care became officially known as the Santos Method throughout special operations medical communities. 18 months later, Sergeant First Class Maria Santos received the Distinguished Service Cross for extraordinary heroism. The citation read, "For extraordinary heroism while serving as medical specialist with a Ranger element during combat operations against enemy forces." Sergeant First Class Santos's exceptional medical expertise and unwavering dedication to patient care resulted in the survival of 10 critically wounded personnel under extreme combat conditions. The ceremony was attended by Maria's family, all 10 Rangers she had saved, and senior military medical leadership from multiple branches. The moment that mattered most came when each Ranger approached her individually after the ceremony. "Doc," Rodriguez said, walking confidently on his fully recovered leg, "my kids wanted me to give you something." He handed Maria a drawing showing a woman in uniform with both a stethoscope and a military patch, with stick figures labeled Daddy's Team standing nearby. At the bottom, in careful child handwriting, "Thank you for saving Daddy and his friends." "Santos," Captain Mitchell said during the reception, "when I first met you, I incorrectly believed medics were support personnel who stayed behind operational lines. You taught me that combat medics are warriors who fight death instead of enemy combatants. Sometimes that battle requires the same courage as any combat operation." "Captain, we're all part of the same team," Maria replied. "We just use different tools to complete the mission." 5 years later, Master Sergeant Maria Santos was assigned to lead the Army Special Operations Medical Research Division, where her laboratory became the primary center for developing combat medical techniques for future conflicts. "Anyone can learn standard medical procedures through training," she would tell new combat medics during intensive preparation courses. "The Army provides excellent instruction in trauma surgery, emergency medicine, and casualty evacuation. But what training cannot teach is the mindset that refuses to accept patient death when medical intervention can prevent it." She would pause, studying the faces of students who would soon face impossible situations in combat zones. The difference between competent medics and exceptional medics isn't technical knowledge or advanced equipment. It's the absolute determination to provide medical care regardless of circumstances and the certainty that your patients will survive because you refuse to let them die. Her training programs became legendary throughout military medicine for realism and intensity. Students learned to perform complex procedures under simulated combat conditions, make critical decisions within seconds, and integrate medical skills with tactical awareness. "I didn't save those Rangers because I was the most technically skilled medic in the Army," Maria would conclude her lectures. I saved them because I refused to accept that their injuries were fatal. When they needed medical care, I provided it. That's what combat medics do regardless of circumstances. The radio transmission that seemed impossible. All 10 casualties stable and ready for evacuation. 0 fatalities became legendary throughout the military medical community, representing the transformation of certain death into complete survival through medical skill and absolute determination. Maria Santos had proven that sometimes the most crucial battles are fought not against enemy forces, but against death itself. When the right person with the right training refuses to accept defeat, death loses. She's just a medic, not combat personnel. Captain Mitchell had been completely wrong. Maria Santos was absolutely combat personnel. She just fought a different enemy with different weapons. And in 20 minutes under enemy observation in an Afghan valley, she had achieved the most important victory any warrior can accomplish. She had brought everyone home alive. If this story moved you, please hit that subscribe button and share it with others. Help us ensure these tales of medical heroism and battlefield courage reach the people who need to hear them. Thank you for watching Hidden Story. We'll see you in the next story, where another lesson waits to be learned, another truth waits to be revealed, and another reminder awaits that authentic heroism lives quietly among us, waiting for the moment when it must speak up to protect what truly matters.